Do not hold back. Did you hear it? And what do we shout about? What do we shout about? Or how do we shout? Or we ask ourselves the question even, why do I shout? And the answer is there today too. Why? Because I, you, we are the salt of the earth. I, you, we are the light of the world. Shout it out. And I don't mean the laundry. I just... That's the commercial, isn't it? Shout it out. We're not talking about that. We're talking about God has called us to live in a reality that is very different. Hear what St. Paul is talking about today. Very different than the reality of this world. And I don't want to start a conversation or make any problems here, but listen to this. This is the truth. I'm telling you the truth. God could care less if you're Republican or Democrat. God could care less if you're black, white, blue, purple, pink, or brown. God could care less what language you speak or where you're from. What God cares about is you and where you are going. Because since the beginning of time, even before since the beginning of time, God knew you. And God had in the back of his head somewhere a plan for you, a purpose, a place. And when we find our way into this world, we are called, challenged, invited, blessed by the Holy Spirit with the desire and the need to find and fill that call. Be the best of who we are and be whoever it is God has called us to be. And when we discover that within ourselves, or even in the process of discovering that within ourselves, when we find a truth, when we find something worthy of sharing, shout it out. Don't be bashful. Don't be ashamed. What did St. Paul say? I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ. For it is the power of God unto salvation for all people. That's another thing, you know. When God sits up there, and I don't know where you put heaven. Sometimes I think heaven needs to be a little bit here, but if God's in it, what's the saying? God's in his heaven and all's right with the world. God's sitting up there looking, and he must either laugh or cry at us. There are no borders when you look at the earth from the sky. There are no differences. It's a whole lot of people trying to find their way. And the job that's difficult and the challenge that we often don't like to hear too much is that we're supposed to be some of the folks who show the way. And so you might say, whoa, Pastor, how do you know you're supposed to do that? And I'll tell you why I know that. Because it says in today's gospel lesson, I am the light of the world. I am the salt of the earth. And what truth I know, I must speak. And it's not enough just to speak the truth. My grandfather used to say, you shouldn't be eating all that candy. It's bad for you. Now, he would usually say that as he was unwrapping a piece of candy. That still worked. He was bigger than me. But it's not supposed to be that way. How do we be salt? How do we be light? By making real the gospel truth that we already know. And by shouting out in words and shouting out in deeds by what we do and how we do what we already know, that God has loved us and calls us and doesn't send us out into the world empty-handed, unprepared, without resources, but God sends us out into the world filled with His Holy Spirit. What's the phrase in baptism? Sealed, marked with the cross of Christ for a day? No. For a week? Till your next birthday? No. Forever. Forever. We have that power. We have that resource deep within us. So when we are called to shout out, when we are called to be salt, when we are called to be light, and we say, we're tempted to say, I'm tempted to say a lot, oh, I can't do that. Who's going to listen to me? Who's going to follow my example? That's not the measure. God calls us, sends us, empowers us, and gives us, that was in our prayer today, the will to do it. So maybe you guys are going to think you came to a church where you get commercials all the time. But I just can't help it today. You know, who was it? Just do it. Nike. Okay, so go be Nikes. Just do it. Speak the truth. Live the truth. Make the truth real in your life and in the world around you. That's what we're called to do. And we're called to do it because we are called to be disciples and teachers and leaders and people who care for our friends, for our family, for our neighbors. And the answer to the question, who is my neighbor, really is another question, who is not? So, well, it's different when you're an interim than when you're a pastor, because it's not like I won't ever be here again, you just get a long break. But in the meantime, as you begin an adventure with a new pastor, and as a church family in this place, you continue. You guys are doing some really wild and weird and great stuff. We call it mission and ministry. As you continue to do that, my prayer is that you will continue to be blessed as you are a blessing. That you will continue to shine as you are light. And that the whole world will find the flavor of the salt. Oh yeah, anybody, if you want to try this today before you leave, you're welcome. I forget what ocean it comes from, but I know it's far away. As you do that, as you are a blessing to others, God's promise is clear. As you bless others, you will be blessed. Amen. As you are salt, you will find flavor, the flavor of life eternal. And as you are light, guiding others, God will guide you every step of the way. Amen.
Amen.